All right. I'm laughing because I am enamored of looking at myself on the screen, and the problem is I'm so busy looking at myself on my screen. A, I'm not making eye contact with you. It's like my eyes are like all over here because I can't be a professional and just look at the camera. And because I can't force myself to make eye contact with the camera, you're getting this beautiful view of the top of my head here, which I'm sure no way benefits you. But I'm really digressing here. I'm here to talk to you about your Boyle's Law Lab. The Boyle's Law Lab, I think, is the first lab that you're doing that's what's known as inquiry-based, meaning instead of you listening to me talk about a whole bunch of theoretical stuff in advance of the lab, you're going to figure out the theoretical part yourself based on the experimental results of the lab. So the first thing I hope you're doing is that you're going to pause me and go and print out the instructions for the Boyle's Law Lab. Go print out those instructions off a blackboard. I'll wait for you. I promise. I'll wait. I won't go anywhere, right? Pause me. Did you print me out? All right. I hope not print me out, but I mean, did you print out the lab instructions? Okay. So let's take a look at these lab instructions together. The first thing they talk about is a syringe and gas pressure sensor. This is your gas pressure sensor and this is your syringe. The first thing they're going to tell you in step 1B is how to fill up this syringe. The problem with filling a syringe up compared to normal pieces of equipment is the syringe has this really big, thick head. So where do we read the full mark from? Read from that top of that plunger there. So the instructions tell you to fill to 10 milliliters. So I'm dragging down, dragging down, dragging down, dragging down. I want, see, there's my 10 milliliter mark right there. I'm going to push it up until that bottom of the 3 rings. So you've got 3 rings to the 10 milliliter. Oh, write down green lantern. Since we're talking about rings, write down green lantern. That's a good one. You want the top of this. Yeah, the top of the plunger is your calibration mark. So to measure 10 milliliters, you're going to fill it to there. 5 milliliters. You're going to stop when of those 3 black lines, the top one or the one closest to this tip is at that 5 milliliter mark. But in 1B, they're telling you to go to 10 milliliters. So you're going to go to 10 milliliters. Once you go to 10 milliliters, they tell you to connect it to your gas pressure sensor. Gas pressure sensor. The connection is through here. One thing I would notice that this is hollow, right? If it's hollow, what can be in there? That means air can be in there. So there is a volume in our gas pressure sensor due to this chamber inside of it, and we're going to have to account for that volume and correct for it experimentally here in a few seconds. But I'm going to connect my syringe to the gas pressure sensor. Ooh. I'm sorry, I'm having too much fun with this camera. I can count the number of times I've used this camera like on one hand. All right. You don't just push, you twist it on. All right, you twist until it's nice and secure. This is now attached. Notice what I have written in italics there in 1C. What do I have written there? I have, do not remove the syringe until the end of the lab. The most common mistake I see is when you're told to change the volume in here, people will want to disconnect it. Don't disconnect it. Once you've got this syringe filled with 10 milliliters and connected to here, you do not disconnect it until the very end of lab, right? If you do, you have to start over again, and no one wants that. All right, that's one thing you have to be careful of. Now let's move along. Let's move along farther down, and I'm going to try sharing here. I had trouble in kindergarten, so I'm not the perfect person at sharing. And it doesn't want to let me share. Why won't it let me share? Ooh, freaky. That's not what I wanted to do. We'll just share entire screen. Okay. All right. If you look at the procedure, step number 3, remember how I showed you that empty chamber inside the gas pressure sensor? That has a volume to it. The syringe calibration marks, that 10 milliliters that we were looking at earlier, that's only the volume of air inside the syringe. You have to account for the volume of air inside this sensor. This sensor has a volume of 0.8 milliliters. I highlighted it in yellow for you, 0.8 milliliters. Therefore, whatever your syringe reads, the real volume of your gas is whatever the syringe reads plus 0.8 milliliters. For example, right now my syringe reads 10 milliliters. So my real volume of gas is 10.8. If I move my syringe, to where my syringe reads 5 milliliters, the volume of my gas isn't 5 milliliters. The volume of my gas is 5.8. 5 milliliters in the syringe, 0.8 in the pressure sensor. If I move my syringe to 15 milliliters, my volume isn't 15, it's 15 in the syringe plus 0.8 in the pressure sensor. So my volume of my gas would actually be 15.8. Second biggest mistake I see in the lab is people forgetting to add that 0.8. Don't let it be you. Remember your 0.8, please. I'm begging you. Okay. I think I could look at myself all day. So remember, whenever you input a volume, you have to account for that 0.8. Now it says to click collect on the computer. So you'll be clicking collect on Logger Pro. It's going to tell you to move the piston to the front edge of the inside line on the black ring is at 5 milliliters. Did it tell you to disconnect the syringe? No, it didn't. You have to keep the syringe connected and move it to 0.5. If you're doing it right, you're going to feel resistance, right? If you remove your hand here from the syringe, it's going to move back out. So you're going to have one of your lab partners hold the syringe while the other one operates the computer. With your partner holding it at that 5 milliliter line, click keep. Type the total volume of gas. If my syringe is at 5 milliliters, what's my real volume of gas? 5.8. So you're going to enter 5.8 into the computer. If you do not do this, you will enter into trouble. If you mess up some reason, notice there is a redo on one point. You can redo your most recent point by hitting escape after clicking keep, but don't count on the redos. Most of the time people mess up, they have to redo the lab from scratch. Now you're going to move the piston to the 7 milliliter line. Again, did it tell you to disconnect? No, it didn't. So you move the syringe to the 7 milliliter line. What's your real volume of gas? Is it 7 milliliters? No, it's 7.8. Am I making myself clear here? Am I beating a dead horse? Why, I'd have to be Sinestro to beat a dead horse. Write down Sinestro. You're going to do this, continually moving the syringe, keep it, and clicking keep for the syringe volumes of 9, 11, 13, 15, 17, and 19, which means you're really collecting 9.8, 11.8, 13.8, 15.8, 17.8, and 19.8. After you've collected all that data, then you click stop, and then you can remove the syringe if you want to. Right? When you're moving that piston, you don't want to disconnect. Why? Because even though you're changing the volume of gas by manipulating your syringe, you're not changing the number of gas molecules inside that volume, because there's no way for gas molecules to enter or leave this system here. So we're moving the piston to change the amount of room they have, but we're not changing their volume. That's really all I wanted to talk about for this lab. You'll actually be answering all the questions yourself. I've got a dedicated worksheet for you to answer to make your answering questions a little bit simpler. You have to do all the steps here. This is one of those labs where every single step written must be done in order to answer the questions on the worksheet. Good luck. May the force be with you. This is so cool. I don't spend nearly enough time looking at myself. Really, stop recording before I embarrass myself. What? Too late for that?